Hello, my friends. This is Glynn B. Allen Sr. I am your teacher tonight with our master class. And you know what I always say, if you don't master life, life's going to master you. So we're here today with some more information that will help you get your life on a different track. And of course, I just want to use some tools and some examples really to help you get to your place of greatness. Everyone that's watching me tonight, there's greatness on your life. And don't discount yourself. I want you to start right now readjusting your mind and believing in you. God has entrusted you with something very, very special, your uniqueness, your individuality, and God has given you your own brand. So today, I want you to believe in yourself. Don't let low self-esteem grab a hold to you. I want you to know you're not a copy, and you were born to be an original and not a copy. So today, I want you to start this broadcast off with just celebrating who God created you to be. Of course, today we want to celebrate Him and say that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. And if you're watching us from any medium, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to one of our channels. Today, again, we have my very own spiritual daughter. I'm so proud to call her that she has been such a great person impacting our lives, influencing us and influencing the world in different ways. And sometimes it just takes someone to jump off the normal pathway and create another one. There are two different people in the world. There are pathfinders and there are trailblazers. Now, a pathfinder can find a path that's already put in place. But a trailblazer trailblazes and blazes a trail where no one has ever gone before. And I'm so glad to have Dr. Fayetteville Epps with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy about your journey. Of course, you told us a little bit about it last week, how things got started. And of course, I've been a part of this journey with you, and certainly just thanking God to be a part of it. We're going to give God all the glory.
Yes.
I started with a word He gave me for you. That was not my word. A lot of prophets or preachers or pastors or bishops, I gave you the word, but that was not my word. I was just doing what the Lord told me to do. So I think of me being obedient and then you taking what I said and obeyed it. And see what obedience gets us? It just takes us to the next level. We talk about, the blessings of God, and God makes some serious promises in His word. And Deuteronomy chapter 28 says, if you obey my commandments, then all these blessings will be given unto you. Then you hear, I bless you coming in and going out in the city, in the field. I bless your children, your business. Your enemies to come in one way and then leave out 7 different ways. And then I'll make you the head and not the tail, the lender and not the borrower. I'll open up the good treasure to you. All that, it comes after being obedient.
Yes.
So we see that obedience works is always the place that we need to find ourselves in, and also remaining humble as God takes us from one journey, one step, one level to the next. We've got to remember that favor is always preceded with humility. God, keep me humble so I can always remember who did it. So tonight we're just so excited again to have you with us and sharing your journey. I think that it's so important that people understand not just what's in the word, but what God has done for someone personally. You started something And the branding of it, the name of it is Alter.
Yes.
Alter. Can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, so Alter is a program where we partner with Black faith communities across the country, across the world, to equip them with the resources and the tools that they need to support their parishioners that are facing dementia, support those family caregivers, but also talk about promoting brain health. And a lot of people say, well, what does alter stand for? It doesn't stand for anything. Alter is the word, right? Where you're altering your perception. We're hoping to change how people look and support those living with dementia in the Black community. Because so many times we don't even know what dementia is, or we never talked about it. We called it something else. And if someone gets diagnosed or they just act different, we always put them to the side, right? And it's all about us partnering with our faith communities to change that.
Right. And the church has been very guilty of pushing people who are different to the side. We'll make allowances for some differences, but when it's one that we're not familiar with or we're not educated in, and then we kind of push it to the side. We've made adjustments in the socioeconomic differences, and we made adjustments even in sexual orientations. We've opened up the gate for a lot of things, but until we got educated on dementia and brain health, we kind of just put those people aside, and I like to say they were forgotten, and also caregivers as well. So thank you so much for addressing this, because this is very, very important, and it's become a passion of mine. Now I want to know from you, how did this become your passion?
How it became my passion? It was just me reading. So for my PhD program, family caregiving was so important in my family. We took care of our grandparents. I would come home from college to go be with them, give my parents or uncles a break. And once I was going to apply for my postdoc, they say, well, family caregiving is broad. Everybody does family caregiving. You need to do who are they caring for. And so I so happened picked up a paper and I started reading about about Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And I was like, what is this? And again, I always say I'm a nurse. I have a PhD because people assume, oh, you had this and that, you know everything. I did not know what this was. And when they said that Blacks were twice more likely than our white counterparts to be affected by this, I was like, what? I don't know nobody with dementia, Alzheimer's disease. And I was like, I'm going to go find these people. I want to learn from them. Wow. And that's actually what started. And, Bishop, once I started doing that, I realized my close friends were caring for their mother with dementia or their grandmother. And these were friends. We went to the festival. Our kids went to karate together. We was at each other's home. How could I not know you was caring for your mom? Wow. How could I not know that my great aunt had this? Because again, we just don't know what it is. Right. Or if we do, or we're told this, we're not talking about it. Right. And so I was able to find these families in Louisiana, and they opened up their homes to me. And they shared their stories, their faith journey. Many of them talked about how the church turned their back on them, how the pastor who lived on the corner, passed the house every day and never checked on her husband. Oh, wow. And they were very active in church. And so it was those stories, hearing family caregivers at the table crying because the church bus stopped coming to get their mom. Wow. Those stories that said, Fayron, you need to do something about this.
Well, I heard someone say this before, that if you want to find your purpose or find out how to be successful, find where there's a need. And, what you did was address a need that most people won't touch. And especially in the Black community and our churches, it's kind of taboo, and I don't know why we made it that way. And because of the lack of education, the Bible says we're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Yeah. And so many things, opportunities are destroyed, because this is an excellent way to minister to a whole nother audience of people, both the person who's dealing with dementia and those who are caregivers. Why would we overlook them? And I was guilty because I didn't know. But the moment I got involved and understood, then we started making adjustments in our service to make sure that we became a church that was dementia friendly. And so I think that is so important. And thank you so much for bringing it to the table for us, because your passion has been so strong that it made us become passionate as well.
Yes, and I'm hoping that I can get, well, we have partnered with a lot of other Black faith communities who have seen the need for this as well and want to come and trailblaze this with me. And one of the biggest things is, you talked about why we as Black people, or even the church, may not have recognized this. Traditionally and historically, when we seen dementia symptoms, so someone, we may say, quote unquote, losing their mind or forgetting their memory, or misplacing things, or behaviors are different. We think it's a spiritual condition,
right?
But Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia is a medical condition. Right. And I think that's what we have to realize. And even when this really was highlighted when I went to Ghana, and I seen this, and it was so, the wizards and the witchcraft that they thought, but these people really had dementia, and they took it to the level where they would stone them, they will kill them, chain them to walls. So we hear about this, but when I actually see this, and I meet people who were involved in this, because they thought, again, it was a spiritual condition.
Right.
And not realizing it was medical. And it's things that we can put in place to reduce your risk. It's things we can put in place while this person is diagnosed with this to be able to have a good quality of life. And so I'm hoping by working with faith communities that we can show the world how to put these things in place.
Right.
And our families don't need to go through this alone. It takes a village.
Right. And the church has been so one-dimensional. If something is strange or different, we want to lay hands on them, cast demons out. But you're doing the work wrong. It's not the case. The case is not that they have a demon, they have dementia. So, we got to pray another type of prayer, and then pray for understanding and compassion I got to have for this person. And what we've done is make sure we keep some older songs on the roster, and that we don't point people out to make them feel uncomfortable. If they have some type of outburst, hey, this is part of the program. It goes along with it. We've had outbursts before. We had children, and we make allowances for everybody. But we have to be more cognizant of how to become friendly toward all people. I think the church, we said, whosoever will, let them come. And then, but that's not a fact most times. And we say, come just as you are. That's not always the case. So the church has to become greater in the aspect of people who have mental challenges or cognitive decline or whatever the case may be. We have to be open to deal with all people. Think about the amount of souls that we're missing because we don't embrace that. And
Bishop, yes. And me working with you created these dementia-friendly online worship services. And you probably didn't know who you was going to reach with that, because there's so many people that stopped going to church, that stopped having that relationship with their church family because this lack of understanding or they're not being supported. And now they can connect, have their spirit fed by listening to these worship services that you've created that are 10 minutes or less, because you understood the assignment. You knew what they needed. And that's what I'm hoping that a lot of our faith leaders would see, that we may have to do things a little bit different. We cannot keep judging and, like you said, this one-dimensional. If I think back, I stopped going to church for a while because they talked about me because I didn't have stockings on, and I wanted to wear pants to church. And y'all remember when that was really big, and you can't come inside the church house like that. And so it's things like that we don't even think of that we're doing that's turning people away. And these families, persons living with dementia, they want to be connected. They want to be spiritually supported. They really do, and they're looking for that, especially if they was raised in church, and now you take that away from them.
Right.
Imagine what's that's doing.
Well, I tell you, I was really moved when I went to the summit a few weeks ago, and I walked through the door. A young lady called my name out, and I'd never seen her before. She said, "You don't know me, but I know you." And she says, "My mother watched your videos." And she said those videos actually saved my marriage. I said, "Oh God," it broke me down. I promise you. Then time after time, people I've never met before have watched those videos online. And they've helped so many people. And sometimes you're doing stuff that you don't know how effective it's being. Those small things, like a 7-minute video. And it's really impactful. And I think we spend so much time trying to influence people, but who are you impacting? That week I knew for sure that had impacted the lives of people who were both caregivers and those who were dealing with dementia.
Yes, because I had a caregiver say she didn't know she needed to be still for 10 minutes. So caregivers they're multitasking, they're doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. They're turn on the TV or turn on this for their loved one or who they're supporting. But when we put your video on, she paused and worshiped with her mom. And afterwards, she said she felt so good and she was able to carry that word throughout her day and throughout the week. And again, she didn't even realize she needed that. She thought she was signing up because it was part of a research study. She thought she was signing up for her mom.
Right.
And didn't realize it was for her.
You know, I have a big heart. I got several churches in our community that have not addressed this issue. And some of them pastor elderly people. And who possibly deal with this, and some may not want to come to church because they have not made their church friendly toward those who are dealing with, the cognitive decline or dementia or whatever disorder they may have. But what I like to do is make an appeal to pastors, and this is my new assignment because we have to do a better job with those who are dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. We deal with cancer. We visit folk in the hospital and have all kinds of disorders and diseases. I make it my business to make sure that I get to the hospital to visit my members. But what about the homes of those who are dealing with dementia or memory loss? And it becomes embarrassing.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing those memory tests with us. Thankful God I passed them. But some days, if you're not educated, you'll look at those moments when you're having memory loss and feel embarrassed about it or feel like something's happening to you. You may just be having a bad day. My days are inundated with so much. But I want the church to become better at embracing people with these differences. It's just a different thing. But I want to challenge pastors. As you're watching me today, I'm challenging you to get on board with Altar. And find a way to be a better service to the community, the whole community, not just a selected group of people. Because I promise you, every church has someone in their congregation who's dealing with it or who will deal with it sooner or later. So
yes.
Let's get on board with that.
Yes, thank you for making that appeal. I do. I welcome churches to come on board and connect with us and see what they can do. If you have an older congregation, yes. But if you have a young congregation, please, because one thing, dementia does not discriminate with age, race, or gender. So I know at the summit, you've probably seen people in their early 40s that have dementia. Right. So again, you don't know who's affected. And we have so many young people now that are caregiving, that are in college and still worried and caring for their parents that may be away, or they're in a household like I did when I was in college. I went back home to help support my mom or my aunt and uncle. So, you just don't know. And many times faith leaders say, oh, that doesn't affect us. But you don't know, build it and they will come. Right. Many people are sitting in your congregation and they're going through this in silence. And they need the help, but they don't feel like they can speak up because no one understands it. They're going to laugh it off. They're going to say, oh, well, you crazy because he talked to me about when we went to college and he remembered everything. But that's not one of the signs and symptoms. Short-term memory loss, not long-term. They're going to remember every family reunion, every college, being on the yard when they cross. But it's going to be what happened to them that morning, what they ate for breakfast.
That's why we make sure we sing older songs and quote scriptures that they would be familiar with, to jar their memory to something that they can relate to. And I think that's important. But that comes along with education. Because
Yes.
now, when you don't know, you just don't know. And so you won't do what you don't know to do or what's important. Now, I know this journey's been, 7 or 8 years now that you've started this. Where are you with it now?
Well, it's growing. So it started right here at Destiny, and especially in Atlanta metro area. But now we're in 14 states, and Lord knows I don't know how many cities. And we have a little bit over, I want to say, between 85 to 90 faith communities that we partner with. And it's been, when we started partnering, it's been about 4.5 years before we just started educating. And when we realized that we were doing this education, but I wasn't giving you, Bishop, any tools to apply the education. And that's when we really said we need to do a full-fledged program, which was 4.5 years ago. So it is growing. We've went to Ghana and partnered with the AME Zion Church out there in West Africa, that district. And so people are hearing this. They're seeing it. And I think at first when I started, I had so many closed doors. You was the only one. You was my main supporter. And then I also had Pastor Jakes in East Point. But that was it. Everybody else was closing doors on me. But I remained persistent. And I knew that this needed to be done. And like you said, I was creating a path. I wasn't following a path. So when you do that, you know some doors are going to be closed.
Right.
People are not going to understand. They're going to look at you crazy. Who is this little girl coming in here telling us we may need to do this and that? But again, I remained persistent, and I stayed in the Word, and I let God use me.
Right.
And I'm here to make sure that we support the faith community, support my leaders.
And that only says you just kept on knocking. And, so, sometimes we get a no and we count that as a definite, I'm done. I have no need in continuing. I'm being rejected. But sometimes rejection is just redirection. I'm grateful that you didn't allow a no to be the final answer. You kept on knocking on doors, and look what the outcome is. You got a few no's around here in Atlanta, but then you took it to another state. And yes. And I'm seeing it just blossom. And we're looking for 14 states to turn to 28 states to all of the United States.
Yes.
And
yes.
worldwide, because it's a worldwide problem. And so we want to make sure that we address it and keep it under the umbrella of what God has called it to be. And of course, thanking God for you and pioneering this move, because it also says something about who you are. Your tenacity. And I would like to say that to whoever's watching today, that, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, and it may be odd to someone else, but make sure you pursue it and be persistent with it, because even though no one else knows your vision, you've got to write it down, make it plain, so when you read it, you will run with it. Everybody's not going to run with your vision. So sometimes you just need to sit down with it and read it and go over it again and say, you know what, man, this is what God showed me. And I'm going to stick to the program. And look at what happens when you're persistent. Just keep on knocking at doors.
Yes. And now people are reaching out to me. Now I don't have to knock on any more doors, Bishop. I sit back and now they're knocking on my door. They're calling me for me to now come to their community and bring this program and teach their churches how to do it. And I do focus a lot on the Black community, but this, again, it doesn't discriminate. And so I've had other communities call me and say, well, what can we do? How we can learn from you. And that's what it's all about. And I don't know if you remember, Bishop, a while back when I was sharing with you this ministry that I had created, you took out a piece of paper and you wrote 4 letters on that paper, and it was LOVE. Oh,
wow.
And that has been the theme of the Altar program. It's all about love. All about love. The things that we're doing is to make sure that we love those that are dealing with dementia. Love them through this journey. Love our neighbors.
Right.
Guys, if we remember that, that's what this is. And people see, I got to do this extra work, extra that. When you love someone, it's not extra.
Right. And that's what you have to blanket your ministry with. Because that's how we're known as children of God, through the love that we share with each other. And thankful to God I see that, spreading throughout. Now, I was privy to witness the very first summit this year, and I tell you, girl, I was blown away. I mean, I've seen some stuff take off for the first time, and it's 50 people maybe. I was going as, I'm teaching a master class, and I may have 50 people in my master class. Right? So I'm like, okay. Then I walked in, there's a delegation of people there from everywhere. And I was just totally blown away by this very first summit. Just elaborate on that summit a little bit.
Well, Bishop, I would tell you I was blown away as well. Because I thought 100 or less. I thought your master class might have had about 4 people. I said, please let them show up for Bishop, please. But it was packed. Right. And I just thank God. And I have to say, this was all his work. Mm-hmm. I've never planned an event, but he put the right people in my circle to execute this. Mm-hmm. And you just never know who you reach throughout your life. So many people met me 4 years ago, mm-hmm. and they showed up because they believe in me, or they believe in the vision. They want to be part of this movement. Yeah. And it was just like, whoa. So we had attendees from Alaska, Los mm-hmm. Angeles, Syracuse, New York, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So at first I thought it was going to just be us Georgia folks, mm-hmm. but people were coming from all over.
It's amazing.
You don't remember me, but I heard you speak about this. And what was also beautiful, it was multi-denominational.
Right. And cultural.
And cultural. It was just beautiful. And the best way to describe it was, someone said, this is a family reunion.
Yes. I tell you, even during that week, I felt the love in that room. It was no tension. Everybody was celebrating and supportive. And everybody was just in a great spirit that week. And I was saying, okay, man, when we get together as church folk, man, it's going to be some kind of contention. It was mm-hmm. nothing. It was just good, a good vibe in that place. And more than that, they honored you. And I really was proud that they were able to do that, because, sometimes when you do all the work in the background, people just don't realize all the effort that you put into something. They kind of just take it for granted that this thing just came and it just happened, automatically. But there's a lot of leg work, years of preparation. And I see it on my side of the fence as well. Mm-hmm. People just think, well, it just happened, or that's just what he does. But I was there marveling over the fact that what your work has caused this kind of celebration. And you needed to be honored that week. Just to say to you, thank you for stepping across that line, doing something different, being a pioneer, being a trailblazer. And we're so proud of you. I can't say that enough.
Oh, thank you.
And can't wait to see what the next chapters are going to be. And I know you're a little anxious about it, mm-hmm. kind of concerned. Lord, what's next? And we all ask that because, okay, God, I'm here. I'm doing good, but I know there's more in store. I can feel something mm-hmm. in my spirit saying, okay, there's something in me that I have not given birth to yet. There are many more children to this dementia this altar program. So God, where's this thing going? And the Lord's already shown me that it's going to be amazing and massive. So get ready for it.
Get ready. You get ready to be on this journey with me, Bishop. I am ready. And I'm, again, back to the summit. I know I was celebrated, but it's about remaining humble. Mm-hmm. And so it really, I didn't want the light on me, or spotlight on me. I really wanted it on the attendees, the people, all these churches from all over that now are making that commitment to go back and say, we're going to do, if it's not 3 things, we're at least going to do 1 thing different. And to me, that was about, and that's what I celebrated.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, I watched on both sides. You celebrated them for being there. You spoke well of everybody. And all the classes were wonderful. The concert was great. And everything was just in place. I mean, you didn't do it shabby. There was not a shabby summit. I mean, it was first class. And, I got a level that I do things on. It's excellent. So, And so you followed that mantra, and I still want to thank God because God was there.
Yeah, he was, y'all. And it took, I mean, even through, like you say, a lot of things happened in the back, but I never got out of character. But, you know, I learned, and now I know what you go through, Bishop. But, you know, everything that I did, I brought God in. Every conversation that I had, I shared in the summer. It took a lot of crucial conversations to even get to this point. Right. But God was right there with me with every crucial conversation. So it was really well received when I was telling somebody off.
But it's called confrontation.
Oh, yeah. But it turned out great, and I'm hoping that people will join us next year. Reach out and just really.
You have the dates for that?
Yes, April the 24th through the 26th, 2025 in Atlanta. We don't know the location yet,
but we're gonna have one. It's gonna be a great location.
Yes,
April 24th through the 26th, 2025 summit. Now we are anticipating even greater summit because the people, you know, I noticed that they were so excited. They didn't want the summit to end.
No, they were still there on the third day. Who shows up at a conference on the summit on the last day?
The last day in big numbers. I mean, everybody remained.
Yes, I could not believe that. I was shocked.
So every session, every class, every part of it, they were there. And I was like, okay, this is something different.
Yeah, but it's also speaking to what you mentioned before. It was when you're meeting a need.
Right.
And this just really shows that there is a need, because if there wasn't, no one would have showed up.
Right.
But there is a need. People want to understand. They want to do. They want to change. They want to help. And so we're going to keep doing this.
Right. And I'll say this to someone who's watching us. You know, that's what ministry is all about. You want to know what ministry really is. The true definition of ministry is meeting the needs of God's people, or people, period. And that's God's business. You know, that's what he specializes in, making sure needs are met. So if you're wondering what your ministry is, you're trying to find your place in ministry, identify a need and ask God to use you in that particular area, and watch him cause everything to explode. And I'll tell you what, God is no respecter of person. He did it for Dr. Epps. He does it for me. He'll do the same thing for you. Any closing remarks? You just want to leave the people with something?
No, well, yes, I do have a closing remark. You know I do. I just want everybody that's tuning in to stay encouraged. I think that's really important, because things may not happen in your timeline or what you have written down as what you thought was your vision or your purpose. That is not happening. But I ask you to stay encouraged and also be open to learning and listening from others. Be open when God uses others. He has used so many people in my life to get me to this point. So Bishop, Dr. Nancy Croft, Dr. Sharon Hutchison. There were so many people that he used to tell me, I didn't share, like even to get me back in PhD school. I had quit. I was like, I'm done. But he had this lady I never met before call me up. And she said, God told me to call you.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't hang up on her. I listened to her. And so, you know, be open to people, when God sends people in your life, and you're going to know. You're going to be like, well, is that the right one? You will know. He's going to make it so clear.
Right. They're going to speak to your spirit.
Yes. And you have to follow that.
Right. Well, when you know it's God, you know, even when it's someone else's voice, you hear God's voice in their voice. And I believe if you have an ear, you will hear what the Spirit is saying to you, because it's not always the audible God speaking out of heaven voice. Sometimes he uses a human being to be your earth angel to speak to you. And you got to be careful to entertain even strangers, because you may be entertaining an angel unaware, and God will use people. So we leave you with that today. I tell you, God is no respecter of person. There's no limit of what can happen for your life. Take the journey of faith. Get out there and do something that's remarkable and seemingly impossible. Remember this, all things are possible with him. So I want you to believe and then receive whatever God is getting ready to do in your life. I believe this is a season for new things. Even God has done some great things in Dr. Epps' life. I'm just waiting to see what the next chapter is going to be. So stay tuned. Yes. After hearing this today, and I tell you, this has been a blessing. Someone may need to get saved, need to know Jesus Christ as a personal Savior, or maybe need to get connected with a church or become a part of our daily devotion. You can do so by going to the bottom of the screen and follow those prompts there. And of course, we are praying every morning at 7:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, thanking God for the power of prayer, as we have a delegation of people that are praying with us, for us, and they're standing in agreement with us daily to see God's hand move in a very special way. So join us. The number and the passcode is there. Join us tomorrow morning for prayer. We'll be so glad to have you. And last but not least, let's make sure that we are supporting this broadcast financially. Sow a seed into it, as God will bless you for doing so, to keep us going forward with this master class. Again, I thank God for Dr. Epps. It's been such a blessing. Thank you for sharing with us today. And as I always say, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. We'll see you next time.